Hello. We're here, and we're going to hop straight into it on this one. I hope you're doing well, and we're going to talk about the success paradox today, because it's a topic I've kind of read a lot about, and I've also watched a lot of videos about, and it's something I'm really interested in, about like success and what makes it up, what like hard work, luck, all this kind of stuff like that, and how much of a role it plays in it. I think the one thing you'll probably agree with me on is that successful people really work hard. There's no two ways about it. That's the one thing that I think is a commonality between all successful people, is the work they put in. Unless you're some Arabian prince who's inherited their father's oil wealth and you're now a trillionaire, which honestly isn't even success. You've just inherited it. You've done nothing. You're not actually accomplishing anything. No, I just think hard work is the one defining characteristic of all successful people, and you can't really deny that, I don't think. But of course, to some extent, there will always be an element of luck involved with people and their ability to succeed. There's a great book I read on this before I was even doing this challenge called Outliers, and you might have heard these two examples because they've made their ways around the internet. They've become really popular. The first example I'll talk about is hockey players in Canada. It's really interesting. So you'd expect elite level sports to be the most meritocratic. Is that the right word? Meritocracy. You'd expect elite level sports to be a meritocracy, right? The best people, the people who work the hardest, the people who get the strongest, will inevitably be the ones who succeed the most. Like you think sport is just this raw. It's just, if you're the best, you're the best. That's how you think of sport, right? There's no like external variables outside of that. But it turns out there really is. The interesting stat is that in the Canadian leagues for hockey, I think 40% of all players are born in the first quarter of the year, and only 10% of hockey players are born in the last quarter of the year. And you might be thinking, what does that have to do with anything? But it's really interesting because you see in the early leagues, the very young leagues, when people first start playing hockey, is there's a cutoff on January 1st. So that means if you're born earlier in the year and you're relatively older than the people who are born later in the year, you're bigger and stronger. So you'll be selected like just purely because you're older and therefore you've had more time to grow. Not even like skill, but just be stronger and have like have grown more. You will outperform people who are younger than you relatively. And you might think that's not a big deal, right? You'd expect like differences in skill like that, which are just born out of like who hits puberty first or something like that. You'd expect that to even out over time, but it doesn't at all. You see that these hockey players, because they're bigger and stronger, they get offered the chance to be in the best team at their school, which means they get access to more coaches, more games, more training. So this slight difference at the start ends up sending these two people on wildly different trajectories, because they've just been blessed with more opportunities, because they were born in the first quarter of the year, because they're just lucky that they're closer to the cutoff, meaning they're relatively older than everyone else, so they're relatively stronger. And that's completely out of your control. So that's the first example where something out of your control has a really big influence on how well you do. I'll say it again. 40% of players are born in the first 3 months of the year in the hockey leagues in Canada, and only 10% of players are born in the last quarter, which means you have you're 4 times more likely to make it into like the highest hockey leagues in Canada if you were born in the first 3 months than the last 3 months, that's just insane to think about. You'd never expect sport, which is just a raw meritocracy, to have something so luck based in it, which is, I don't know, I find it wild. And then the second example Outliers uses, well, there's a lot of examples, but one of the other examples in the book is about Bill Gates. And you'd expect Bill Gates, like, you're just like, okay, he's a smart dude. I think he has an IQ of 160, which places him in the top point whatever % of people worldwide. Same intelligence as Einstein. You just expect he is just a hard worker. Paired with his intelligence means he was just able to prosper, which is definitely the case. That's 100% one of the reasons. I mean, without that, he'd be nowhere. But the really interesting thing about Bill Gates and his success is that when he was not only born into like a relatively wealthy family, which is of course, I mean, that's just that'll help you be successful no matter what. But the high school he went to was, I think, one of 2 or like one of 3 of the first high schools in the entire US to be given like a computer terminal to like practice coding on the really early iterations of coding, which meant not only was he a genius, not only did he have a good work ethic, but he was also at one of the select high schools in the entire country which had access to a computer terminal, which meant he could be leagues ahead of anyone else in such a quick time. Like, he could code at the school. He didn't have to wait till he went to college and learn it there. He just had such a big advantage, and you hear him spending like 10 hours a day learning to code. And I mean, look where he is now. He was at one stage the richest man in the world because of that. And the school he also went to is where he found the person he founded Microsoft with. So you met him there too. Like, that's something completely out of his control. Going to that that high school, completely luck-based. Like, he was of course hardworking, of course intelligent, but there was just some level of luck that underpinned it. And it's just interesting to like consider that these people who are so successful have lots of things that are outside of their control. And the interesting thing is, because that's their perspective, successful people, right? They're hard workers, so they assume that, they have like kind of a survivorship bias where the most successful people are all really hardworking. So if they see someone who's less successful, they're probably just like, oh, you just didn't work as hard. And they're kind of blind to all these opportunities they've been granted that they pretty much down to luck, that they'd have no idea. They just don't consider that. They just think success is purely hard work. I think that's interesting. I think that's really interesting to think about, because I'll give my thoughts on this. If you know me, I'm a big on the whole mindset, big on the whole believing in yourself, big on being confident in what you do. Because I think you can achieve anything. I think you can literally achieve anything if you set your mind to it. I think it's a Nelson, I wasn't going to put this quote in, but now I'm thinking about it. I think it's a Nelson Mandela quote of what, everything seems impossible until you do it, which I think is true. I think really you can set your mind to things and do things you had no idea you're capable of. But I think even if luck plays a part in the process, I also still kind of think if you have like absolute faith in yourself and your ability to work hard at something, I think you'll inevitably achieve it. Like even though luck plays a part in this process, I still think hard work will always trump it, because I don't think luck, like in those examples, luck was pretty an external factor, right? But I also kind of think, this sounds like a complete contradiction, but I think luck is also a byproduct of hard work. And what I mean by that, I think I wrote this quote down. Thomas Jefferson has this quote where he said, I find that the harder I work, the more luck I seem to have. And I think that is absolutely true, because I think the more you work, the more you dedicate time to something, the more people you meet doing it, the more like events you go to, the more classes you attend. For me, say the more videos I put out, the more people I meet through making videos. There's just a higher likelihood of really good opportunities coming your way. So like, whilst yes, it's luck, I think hard work also feeds into that luck. Sorry, I lost my train of thought again. But no, what I was saying was that like, so I think like, luck can be out of your control if you get hit by a bus or something. But at the same time, I think what can lead you to be a successful person is also paradoxically kind of within your control at the same time, because I think the more you expose yourself to new opportunities, the higher likelihood you'll get lucky. And like you see it with people like Lil Nas X. This is a story that's just come to mind for some reason. I wasn't planning to talk about this either, but a lot of people thought he was an overnight success. He got one lucky song at Old Town Road, it just blew up and became a meme. But if you look at what he was doing for like 2 to 3 years, well, of course he was working on music his whole life, but he was on Twitter trying to force something to go viral all day, every day for like 2 years. And then when you see that one lucky break, you're like, oh, he just did it with luck. It's like, no, that's just the product of putting in hard work and opportunities kind of towards you because of the amount of work you're putting into it, you know? That's my view, at least, on success and luck and how it all works together. So anyway, it leads to this kind of paradox, right? To be successful, you need to be kind of lucky. We agree on that. But I also believe that to be successful, you also have to kind of believe that isn't true. I think you have to have the mindset where you think it is exclusively hard work and determination that will lead to your success. As if you don't have that mentality, even if it's wrong, I think even if it's wrong, if you don't have that mentality, I don't think you can reach your best potential if you don't have absolute faith in yourself. So it's this weird paradox where, you know, to be successful, you have to be lucky. But I also think to be successful, you also just have to ignore that and think it is only your hard work and determination that will get you there and keep pushing you forward and driving you to get better and better and better. So I just think that's kind of an interesting concept to think about. You know my mentality. I talked about it. I don't hold any limiting beliefs on what I'm capable of achieving or what I want to do. Because I truly believe you set your mind to something, I think you can achieve a lot more than you're capable or that you can even conceive of. And this kind of may sound a little delusional, which admittedly it probably is a little bit. I kind of almost sound like I'm blindly ignorant about my ability to do things when I'm quite incompetent. But I don't know. I think I talked about in the last one. I just think that's the foundation for everything, is having that powerful mindset. You know, this might sound arrogant, but like I know I will be successful on YouTube, and I did know I will be successful on YouTube at some point, which again, I don't mean to sound arrogant, but it's just this mindset I have. Like I have full belief that if I want to do YouTube long term, I know I can make really good videos for as long as I'm passionate about it. I know that if I need to pivot away from TF2 at some point, I know I'll be able to do it with enough time, effort, hard work. I know if I need to pivot into streaming, I can try that out, and I know I'll be able to do it. Like I hope it doesn't sound arrogant, because if you know me, I'm not a very arrogant person. I have gotten more confident in the last 6 months, I'll say that. But no, I just truly believe in not having any limiting beliefs on yourself. Even if it sounds delusional, I don't think there's any other mindset that will reap you better rewards. Because what's the alternative, right? If you don't have full faith in yourself, what? You have partial faith in yourself, which will get you somewhere, I guess, but not as good as it could be. Or even worse than that, you could have no faith in yourself, which will get you nowhere. So even if it's like not true, I don't know why you'd have that mentality, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's mainly what I want to talk about. I just want to talk kind of elaborate a bit more on mindset, a bit more on success, hard work, all that. And actually, this will sound funny. I can give you my progress update for the week, because I had the worst week I've had so far, and I'm still saying these things, which tells you I fully believe in them. I ended up increasing some of my weights for one of my workouts. I just had my dumbbells went up in weight, and I was doing it. I was doing some tricep extension dimensions, and it killed me. I wasn't doing as many reps as I wanted, and I felt like shit. I've had a video idea this week as well. I wrote a 13,000 word script. I had 20 hours of footage I organized, and the video fell through. And I had a not great week, but now that was made like back on Tuesday, but now I'm sitting here. I kind of took a step. I took a deep breath that night after everything kind of went pear-shaped. And I was like, this is fine. You know, obstacles are good. This is good. Having things get in the way and make it hard for me is good. I'll learn, I'll grow. And then the next day, I was determined as ever. I went back to my workout. I brought my lower weights for that exercise specifically, and I banged out more reps than I did the week before. So like I still made progress. I took that like short obstacle, and I was like, no, because I was feeling really defeated after that work. I was like, fuck, should I just stop? But no, I persisted, and I was actually really proud that I was just like, I turned it around the next day. I went and played basketball for an hour as well, and I was really happy with that. By having a bad week, having like 20 hours of work on a video just fall through my fingers, I was just able to bounce back. I was happy about that. And the last thing I'll talk about is I've been reading the David Goggins. This is probably also what's been fueling this mentality more. I've read the David Goggins book. Oh my god, that man is definitionally built different. I would really recommend reading it because this guy is like the epitome, I think, of the hardest work I've ever seen in my life. He talks about this idea of like how he thinks everyone kind of lives their life with like when they say they've put in their all, they've done their best. He kind of uses this idea that you're only 40%. You've only used 40% of your ability if you think you've worked your hardest. And he said there's still 60% of the tank which you can unlock with like just training your mind and training your body to just kind of reach its full potential. It's really interesting. I won't talk about it too much because I think you should just honestly read the book about this guy's story. It's insane what he's gone through as a Navy SEAL, the amount of 100 miles he's run, these ultra athlons, biathletes, triathlon things he's attempted, and all the hell weeks he did. There's these things called hell weeks in the Navy SEAL. The dude's insane. I'd recommend reading it because it's just been really like eye-opening to like I think I have so much more potential than I realize. I think I'm only probably working at like half capacity right now when I could unlock so much more. And yeah, I hope I don't sound too deluded because I'm honestly, I know it might sound I'm like really confident because honestly, again, I've told you I think I'm an idiot. so take everything I say with a grain of salt. I just like to believe in myself because I think if you don't, I don't think there's any alternative which will reap you good outcomes. But no, that's basically that's all that's happened this week. I hope you're doing well. Hope everything's going well for you. But yeah, farewell, elite level gamer.